You cannot achieve success without being great at identifying, prioritizing, and solving issues as they arise for the longer-term greater good of your company. The issues list migrates a discipline of identifying and prioritizing issues throughout the organization. Everyone is empowered to acknowledge the issues. This creates transparency and trust throughout the organization. Are we focused on what is right for the organization, or are we focused on who is right in solving this issue? The goal is to always stay on what is right, not who is right. If two people are responsible, no one's responsible. So one person has to be in charge of that to-do for that solution. When you truly master this, teams are operating with efficiency, clarity, and focus. Your organization becomes proactive, resilient, and positioned for the long-term good of success of that organization. It is week 5, which brings us to our issues component, our fourth component. We're going to talk through this bucket right here. Strengthening the issues component is all about being able to solve problems as they arise. Simply put, you cannot achieve success without being great at identifying, prioritizing, and solving issues as they arise for the longer-term greater good of your company. There's only been about 23 issues in the history of ever that have arisen in business. And I say that tongue-in-cheek. Oftentimes, there could be 100 issues going on. But our goal is to be able to identify them as they arise, prioritize, and solve them. The key is to become exceptional at solving them at their root cause so that they don't ever resurface again. So let's explore the two tools. The first tool, the issues list. What I find when I work most of that time with business owners is issues are all in our heads. There isn't a running list or an existing document that documents all of the issues going on in the business. Most of the time, the business owner is running from fire to fire, the leadership team is running from fire to fire to put them out, and they don't have a concerted effort towards putting out the highest priority fires. So if you watch previous videos, when we talked about the 8 questions, the issues list was a part of that. In fact, it was the last question, question number 8. It's identifying all the issues going on in your organization at any one given time. So let's take a deeper dive into this issues list. The issues list is about fostering a culture where everyone in the organization, where they A, feel comfortable raising their hand and calling out that issue, and B, there's a system for when they raise their hand, there's an issues list to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. This is crucial, and here's why it matters. The issues list migrates a discipline of identifying and prioritizing issues throughout the organization. And everyone is empowered to acknowledge the issues. And this creates transparency and trust throughout the organization. Once the issues are on this list, the next step is prioritizing and resolving. The next step is prioritizing and resolving them. So let's imagine a list like this. I'm going to make a real fancy list. These lines represent our issues. This is where the second tool comes into play. We call it IDS. It stands for identify, discuss, and solve. Now that we have our issues identified, our goal as a leadership team is to prioritize these issues. So let's say line item number 2 is the number 1 issue you guys need to resolve as a team. Line item number 5 is the number 2 issue you want to resolve. And line item number 1 is the third priority issue you want to solve. So now that we have them prioritized, we start with number 1. Oftentimes we'll find that the issue listed isn't actually the real issue. It's a symptom of the real issue. So our goal as a leadership team is to identify what is the issue we're trying to solve. And is that a root or a symptom? Because if we can identify the root, we're going to have a better chance of resolving this issue so that it never comes back. Now that we've done that, it's time to discuss. A lot of times in discussion, we get into politicization of an issue. What I like to focus on with teams is, are we allowing our egos to come into play here? So I'll ask this. Are we focused on what is right for the organization, or are we focused on who is right in solving this issue? The goal is to always stay on what is right, not who is right. So you want to get all players at the table to contribute. You want all ideas to come to board so that everyone has an opportunity to speak their piece, and all ideas from these great brains that you have on your leadership team are actually speaking to each other to solve the root cause. Now, make sure there's no repeating of themselves. Repeating leads to politicking, and that stalls progress. The whole goal in discussion is for clarity, not redundancy. You want to be clear and get to that root cause so that you can move to the next step, which is solution. So when we get to solving, it's figuring out a clear, actionable next step. A lot of time, to-dos come from solutions. So who is going to be responsible for that to-do? One person. If two people are responsible, no one's responsible. So one person has to be in charge of that to-do for that solution. Once you feel you fully resolved the issue, you ask the question, are we solved? If the answer is yes, we move to 2. If you guys happen to get through all 3 issues and you still have time in your meeting, then we just go and reprioritize the next 1, 2, and 3. That's an efficient meeting. The more and more repetitions you get with this, the better and better you're going to get at identifying, discussing, and solving effectively and efficiently. The teams that I'm working with that I see the best teams, best working through this, they're solving 3, 6, 9 issues in a meeting. Now, there will be times where you have a really big issue going on, and it takes the whole meeting to solve that one. It's rare, but it does happen. That doesn't mean your meeting is less effective. It means that you guys got to solution on a real major issue, and that's still a win. Remember that resolutions solve problems at the root cause, so they don't resurface in the future. And when you truly master this, teams are operating with clarity, with focus, right? Efficiency, clarity, and focus. When you truly master this, teams are operating with efficiency, clarity, and focus. Remember, with all of these areas, we've gone through vision, people, data, and now issues. Our goal is to get to 100% strong in each of these components. Here's what success looks like when you're mastering this and getting to 100% strong. At every level of the organization, issues are being identified, discussed, and resolved. Not just at the executive leadership team. We've got to migrate this down all levels of the organization. Leadership and other teams are fully aligned. Using tools like the issues list and IDS, make sure that issues are resolved to never resurface. And what success really looks like? Your organization becomes proactive, resilient, and positioned for the long-term good of success of that organization. By consistently applying these tools, your team will develop the confidence and capability to handle any challenges that come your way. That's the power of the issues component. So this is week 5. If you've missed the previous 4 weeks, go back. I give the overview, the vision, the people, the data, and you're watching the issues list. If you know of a business leader or an organization that could benefit from seeing some of these videos and how the EOS model could benefit their world, please share it. And stay tuned next week as we get to the process component. We got 2 more components to go. We're really having fun sharing this with all of you because I know that it's helped so many business owners and leadership teams really succeed. So like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.